Good evening, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here this Monday, May the 13th, 2024, for our Hamblen County Legislative Body Committee meetings. Thank you all for being here. We've got a pretty good agenda tonight to get through. Also, we'll end up the evening with our first look at our budget. Before we get to our budget committee, we will try to take a small recess, get our gazettas together, and come back and start again. And also, before we get started, I'd like to announce we have a special guest with us tonight, a guest of Commissioner from the 5th District, the Honorable Mike Reed. We have with us the Executive Director of the Tennessee Secondary Schools Athletic Association, Mark Reeves, with us tonight. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Not every day we have the head honcho from TSSAA with us. Thank you, sir. That said, let's get started. We'll call on Justice Center Public Safety Committee. Chairman Horner, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the Justice Center Public Safety Committee to order. If there's anyone wishing to address the committee, may do so at this time. Seeing none, item 3A, no business, old business. Item 4A, the Justice Center project update. Tony Pettit, Burwell Construction.
Good, how you doing?
Good.
I think the best thing to do is to roll through the pictures. If you got any questions about what is that or what color is that going to be, I don't do colors, but we'll try to figure it out together. Just interrupt me and we'll see. This is the future of your main entrance to the Justice Center. I thought I'd take that just to show you they've got a lot of the precast up and some of the windows are going in, so the progress there. But when you walk in there, you're going to be in the lobby. This is the lobby when you walk in, and you walk back through those doors after check-in procedures and screening and stuff. And they've got a lot of work done in some of the courtrooms, so this is a courtroom that we're looking at here. I've got a couple of pictures of that from the other direction. This is the area looking into the clerk's area, and this is some transaction windows. If you recall, we added a couple of transaction windows, and that work's ongoing right now. That was one of those change orders when I showed up. We're going to talk tonight about, in the change order when we get to that, but we're going to talk about room 1056. So I thought I'd throw a picture or two about room 1056 and the adjacent room to it. So we're looking into room 1056 in this picture. And this is the jury deliberation room. So if you're in here, you're sequestered down until you make a decision. So that's kind of where that room is, back toward the judge's quarter. Another picture of another courtroom. Progress being made there, the drywall finishing. In this picture, you'll see a template that the contractor set in the floor, and this is where your judge's bench and witness stand and all that furniture. That's that kind of that wooden template there that they sit down so we could get some roughing done. This is back into the detention center. They're beginning to paint out colors and stuff there. This is not finished colors, but it's some of the colors that we have there, and you can kind of see the beginnings of the security system there at the mezzanine levels, and they'll go back up and then they'll open up to the top. This is a picture of the recreational area on each of the detention area spaces. Kind of looking up, it gives you an idea of what kind of daylight that you'll get from those areas if you happen to be in there. This is looking, kind of standing at the end of the detention area, looking straight back through where we were just a minute ago with that other picture. This is looking further deeper in. You can kind of see some areas where you're going to have some visitation centers there, back in, and then up in the corner In the top is the control room where the people are gonna be able to look down and see all the way back out into the detention area to monitor activities.
Can you say that one, that's the visitation center?
No, there's 3 boxes over there. There's some, partitions
Yes, sir.
over on the right, and then there's 3 boxes there, and that's gonna be an area to where they sit down and visit with the people that's in the front where the lobby will be. You walk into the lobby and back around, and that's where the public comes in to visit. So it's video visitation.
Okay, but so, I was kind of thinking it might be a phone, you could do it from a phone at home, but we really will have a real,
I think that's gonna be available in the software, that they're able to do that. I'm not sure how that works, but I know that's the spot where if you're incarcerated, that's where you'll sit down and visit. There's probably a laser pointer on this thing somewhere, but I don't know. Whoops. How do I do that? What'd I do, Trish? I messed up. While she tries to recover what I've erased, I'll go ahead and give you the report. Our current contract amount through change order 19 is $94,598,869.11. Billed through the end of April, and this has been approved, is $80,018,889.16, which is right at 80% complete. Of that, the stored material has dropped down. You know, we've been running about 10, as high as $12 million worth of stored material. That's down to $8,305,000 of stored material that we've paid for that's not in place yet, which means the actual work in place is $71,713,889, or 76% complete. The progress of site work is ongoing. Storefront windows are going. If you drive by, you can see that, the aluminum storefront, and then the glazing coming around the building. Elevator work is ongoing. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing, rough end continues there. Of course, the drywall finishing, there is some painting. We had a group go up to Indianapolis for a phase 2 security meeting where they checked out the actual security controls that'll be in the building. They had them set up for you. The vendor provided a space to do that, to do some training. There'll be a phase 3 training once it's in place, but that's taking place in April. And then we're going to talk about the schedule here in a little bit in the change order, but it's actually, I've been telling you all along, this schedule's slipping a little bit, but with the changes and other circumstances, when we get into discussion of change order, that substantial completion is now September 30th. Thank you, Trish. Let me see if I can scoot back. Yeah, here we go. Now, before I messed up, did I answer your question, Nance?
I have another.
Okay.
So September 30, that's completion. When is getting in there?
I think once you get substantially complete, they got 60 days to final. The contractor has 60 days to finalize their work, and in between times, during that 60 days, TCI will come in and certify. The group that works for Hamblen County, and that group will get transitioned in. So it'll probably be the first of the year before we're in operation.
First of the year.
Yeah, 2025, January.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it could be December, but there's a lot of things happening in there about that. Once September 30th is made it, and we've made that substantial completion, part of that definition is that the owner can use the building as it was intended. So they may be, the clerk's area comes online quicker than the detention area, or the detention area gets in front of somebody else. But contractor will be there another 60 days working. And then, in the meantime, we'll start using the building as it was intended.
Next little bitty question.
Okay.
So, is the stuff being stored at Oak Tree Plaza? So when this is completed in September, then that stuff that's there will empty out into, okay.
Yep. Furniture moves in into October, and there's equipment, some of the equipment moves into October. We got those folks scheduled, the courtroom benches, October 1st, all that's scheduled to move in at the beginning of October.
Okay.
Kitchen equipment, some of that's already been set, but that'll become installed and stuff. So that's some of the things that the contractor will be doing that 60 days and making all those final connections with the kitchen equipment or other equipment. This is, I haven't shown this shot in a while. I think I've shown this way back. This is behind the sails. This is all the mechanical and electrical and plumbing and security that's going in there. And we've been working with the maintenance crew to make sure that they have access to all these. This is where the sails stack up on top of each other. And this shows a picture of the complexity of what's going on over there, what's going on behind. People will never see this except if you're working on the plumbing or something. This is your Sally port when you come in, another exterior shot. This is when you get arrested, you'll come into the holding area, and this is the holding area on the right, down through here. So this is some of the elevator work we're talking about. This is the one that actually goes up through the tower. The pop up around the lobby. Shows the precast going back and some work there. Kind of an aerial shot. Another aerial shot. Okay. Any questions?
On the $8 million store, is that building or is that furniture or
The $8 million.
80% finished? I wouldn't think you'd have $8 million worth of storage.
You do. The $8 million stored is just the contractor's work. When I'm talking about 84% complete, I'm talking about his contract of the $95 million. He still has $8 million worth of plumbing fixtures and equipment and antenna wiring and all that stuff. It still amounts to about $8 million. Yeah. Good question. Any other questions?
If not, we'll go to item 4B, the change order number 20, Tony Pettit.
So this is change order 20. There's 6 pending potential change orders in this. PCO, potential change order. In this, wrap this up, and it does include them, but I'll start going on this now. Oh, good. So the first one is PCO 56. Early on in the job, we started questioning, especially when we got to watch this as we got our precast delivered, because they come in long bed trucks. And we got worried, the contractor and us started worrying about making this turn off of West 3rd North Street. Is that the right order? Okay, and then when you turn off there, we got to worry where that truck that we're going to have when we operate the thing is going to have tractor-trailer trucks in there making deliveries. Can they actually make that a radius? So we've been working on this like ever since we were still doing the micropiles. And then eventually we've arrived at, we're going to eliminate an island back through there. and we're going to get rid of, there was a little, there's a gate back there that is a secure gate that allows people to radio in, allow you to go back in. And so now we have increased that radius, which is at the bottom there, to allow tractor-trailer trucks to get in. And that added like 30 square yards of paving. It eliminated some curb. It added some what we call mountable curbs. Allows you to go over the top of them. So that, and then also during that we saved $3,000. Don't say not we saved, but we saved $3,000 by changing the profile of that curb. So it's been value engineers, been kicked around a while, and it amounted to $4,646. Now the tractor trailer trucks can get in there, maneuver back in and back down the loading dock. Then PCO 67 is it says stair 2 ADA exterior ramp. And what happened is that during design it was discovered that there's going to be some exposed foundations on the this area to help get orientated. If you remember the picture I took of the main entrance of the job, this is just a little bit further back down into the project toward the existing jail. It has an ADA ramp, but the way that the foundations were designed or redesigned is that they kind of got exposed from the existing grade because they got to work with existing grade. So they took the handicap ramp, took a bunch of shots. We talked about this one about as long as we did the radius, and redesigned this, and they had to add a kind of a little concrete retaining wall and back around. And then after a bunch of work, we had about $2,772, mainly of formwork and concrete, to make this ADA ramp work with the building to the grade.
Mr. Pettit,
Yeah.
quick question. If I understand you correctly, that was already there, you just had to rework it? Or is it
Oh,
new?
no, it's not rework. I mean, they were planning ahead, so they caught it in early enough time, but it was a lot of calculations because ADA makes you rest ever so many feet on a level surface. It makes you only be able to gain elevation at 1 inch per foot to get up or down. So we still had to get out of that door that you see there and onto the sidewalk. It was just unbelievable how long we talked about this to make it work. So we didn't do anything other than pour the foundations, and we raised the flag before we poured the foundations that we got to work on this.
But it was already in the drawings.
Yes.
How many of them did they require to be in order to be ADA?
It's just this one.
Okay.
Yeah, the total is $2,772.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, so the biggest change order that we have is room 1056. See if I can get this in order. So, PCO 81, if you'll look at this drawing that I've got pulled up, we've got room 1056, which shows up underneath the open work area label there. And then it's actually divided into two. So this becomes a magistrate's courtroom. So we're adding a little bitty courtroom in here, and it's generated more excitement than the big courtroom for some reason. But what we've done is in the beginning we had a shelled space, 1056, an unused portion of work, and then they needed an area for hearings. Hearings and I can't think of the word right now. Arraignments. Thank you, from the back. Arraignments. So we've got real excited about making this an arraignment magistrate's court. So what they're doing is they're actually moving the wall, and this wall was already in place, but we're moving that wall, which is where it says PCO 57. We're moving that wall 3 feet. This is as it's going to be built toward file storage 1055. So, and then we're also adding a wall, what we call the bar, between the public area and where the magistrate, the attorneys, the witness stand, and the clerk will work on the south part of it. And that's going to be similar to the bar that you got in each of the courts. So it's got some millwork on it, and glass, an opening door there, and that allows it. It added a door at 1056A. It also has to be a door controlled by access and security. So they added that door. We relocated that FEC as a fire extinguisher cabinet. And then what's dashed in there is some furniture that we have to have a witness stand where the judge will sit and the attorney's team. So it included, it was pretty extensive. It included the electrical for each of these work areas, like the attorneys and the judge. It included recording provisions for the same thing that your other courtrooms have, recording for the court, audio system, et cetera. And so the total is right at $116,000.
Mr. Pettit, you won't have to move that door 1065?
No,
Because you're moving 3 feet that way.
Yeah, 1065 stays where it is. We do have to move. Oh, I'm sorry, we got 1065 will be moved. Yes.
Or 1055?
1056 will not be moved, but 1065 will move 3 feet.
1055, yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
You had it correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It moves 3 feet.
It moves 3 feet. Well, it's the dotted line near file storage, is that not a wall, it's just a,
It shows the extent of your high-density filing system.
okay.
You know, you go in there and you roll this big
Oh, that
scroll
kind of
and
stuff,
moves
yeah,
everything.
okay,
So we caught that in enough time to make
yes,
that
sir,
work.
okay.
You have not approved this one. No.
You approved going ahead and taking it to the scale today. You approved that.
That's word on it.
Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions?
That's the big number one there. Then let's go over here. As we talked about earlier before, people are going to be able to use their iPads or phones and stuff to visit somehow magically or something like that. So the team thinks they're going to need less visitation spaces. Now this area is just right off the lobby. You come through the lobby, go through security, and you hang a right, and you're in visitation. So we've eliminated, before we previously eliminated 3 or 4 stations for visitation. This one right here, we've eliminated some, and we're making a storage area, which is this, the thing that's new is the new wall and door that's coming into this space. And this one is $21,582, but what we've done is we've planned for the future. It's not an office now, but it will be an office. It could be an office in the future, but now you've got access controls to get into it, security. You've got a new wall. You got some things, electrical and stuff to accommodate desk and whatnot. It's also, we've been trading some electrical boxes in the judges area, which ate up some of the ones we got a credit out of. But this one's $21,582. Then, not a skip one here. Yeah. So, this project is inspected by a whole lot of different people. TCI comes through, our local building officials come through, the state fire marshal comes through and inspects this. And then during the, one of these inspections, the TCI guy says, well, we'd like to see a doorstop between the last cell in the building and the exit stair that goes out from the detention area back out to an area of refuge in case there's an emergencies. That way they won't get hung up together. So we've had to come up with this idea, and this is a kind of a faint drawing, but you can see the swing of the door and that little wedge. Just only drawing it, but that little wedge, and you see that side elevation, you'll see that little wedge there in the front elevation is actually a doorstop. Now, Steel Cell is the manufacturer of your jail cells, and they're the only ones that can work on this thing. So they come back and gave us a proposal for $15,000 to install these on 32 doors. So there's 16 locations, but it's top and bottom, if you remember. So there's 32 doors there at $16,000, $15,089.
Mr.
That's kind
Pettit?
of a requirement for TCIs.
Oh, okay, it's a requirement, okay,
Well, they, yeah, so
okay,
I
thank you.
didn't want that one, but we. Then the last one is the credit. Okay, good. There is deleting some decorative fins. Now, everybody's seen the tower go up, and if you'll notice underneath there's the wire mesh detention screens that are in the rec areas on this. What the architect had was some aluminum decorative fins that was going to be attached from top to bottom at where those rec areas are. And there was a lot of coping involved, and then when you get it done, you're going to have to caulk it. The team has decided, and mainly it's the Hamblen County side, has decided that it's going to be involved with a lot of maintenance in years to come. And it looks good now. They've got the rustication joints in there, kind of accent where they would have went. So without them, it looks good. So they have actually have, this is a proposal to eliminate that fin. And that was $5,388 credit. So mainly that's the labor.
Any other questions?
Tony, on that potential change order 89, it shows there that we've got to figure out what to do with those fins because they're already made.
Yeah.
Has anybody put their hands on them? Or?
There's photograph. This is part of that stored material. They're aluminum. I'd recycle them.
Okay. So the other question I've got is when we have an add change order, we pay for the labor, and then there's a labor burden and a overhead and profit for subcontractors that's tagged onto that. On this PCO 89, it may be minor, but we're not getting any credit for the labor burden or the subcontractor. It's gonna be put up by a curtain wall guy, I'm sure. So, by a curtain wall guy.
Oh yeah, it's
So
killer glass.
we're not getting any discount for
the burden
the burden or the overhead and profit for that. I mean, it's minor, but.
Yeah, you on discounted ones, you usually don't get the profit
Right.
back. But you
We've got to
should
watch
get
all our money, though. I mean, it's a couple $1,000.
I thought that I had thought we looked and made sure that the burden was in there.
Well, it's not a couple $1,000. It's 96 hours, whatever 42% of.
Yeah. Yeah, and we tried to get them to give back their equipment, and there was an argument about the highly.
Tell 'em we're watching
We
them.
were borrowing it from somebody else, but no, that didn't work for us. So we got some sort of credit back to the equipment.
Tell them we're watching them.
Okay, I will. We can catch it later if we want to.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, do I hear a motion to accept the change order?
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion motion. Do I hear a second? Have a second? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I just
Oh,
want
I'm
to tell you
sorry.
about the 61 days.
Okay.
So we talked about it a bit before. Personally, I think the schedule in the beginning was too short forever. 61 days, they're saying, is because of PCO 81R, because of the millwork and stuff. But what happened was, it's called a concurrent delay. So that's how come we're not seeing any general conditions for this change that extended out. And it's, so we're going to go those 61 days, not only for the benefit of us for the change, but the benefit of the contractor too, to get to the end. So we did not allow him to charge us any general conditions for this extension of the 61 days. It is a delay, but he had concurrent delays go with it. The way that the weather delays are written, he's hardly had any weather delays because you've got to have so much rain before it counts. You got to have like more than a quarter inch before you can count it. You got to be working on something that's delayed with the rain, et cetera, et cetera. The snow, he only got 1 day for it, and he couldn't claim it. And then there's so many are allocated per month. So that's how come we got the 61 days. And but we got it. He would have claimed it had he been on schedule. He would have claimed that plus general conditions for 2 months. And we've been through that argument, how much that is, but we got the benefit. I think, again, my opinion is he's not going to be rushed trying to get this done the end of July. The quality in the courthouse area is going to be better because now we're able to manage it better, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's going to help our transition team make sure they're in step, and we're able to move in. And I think it's still going to get us. We'll be operating the first of the year.
If I could just add, this money that we're paying for this comes off the interest of our bonds for the change order. Right.
It's coming out of different pots. You were talking about pots. That money's coming off, not the bond money, but of the interest.
Interest.
That's what we're paying for that vehicle.
Go ahead and vote again, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I think we should with the updated
Okay.
61 days.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item 4C, naming the new Justice Center, County Mayor Bill Britt. Thank you, Tony.
In your packet is a letter that I received from a resident, Joe Moore, who is making the suggestion that we name the Justice Center in jail for a former sheriff who died in service to the county, Clay Walker. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And you can, we've really not had any discussions about naming any building anything or any room anything, and so this was sent to me in the last week, and so I wanted to bring it to your attention. Now the lettering that has been ordered and is in the project is Hamblen County Justice Center. That's what it says on at the entrance to the court area. And so, one option that you could consider that I thought about once I got this from Joe was maybe that you could name the existing Justice Center where the Sheriff's Department is going to be. You could name that after Sheriff Walker if you wanted to. That's, if you don't want, that's just something you can think about. But Mr. Chairman, this is just for consideration.
Information.
While you're on that, so the sheriff is gonna take over that building, what's gonna happen to those courtrooms?
Brandon or Brandon Brown.
Judge Collins's courtroom is going to be Sheriff's Department space.
Oh, okay.
Okay, as you go in the courtroom.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's going to be Sheriff's Department space. Teresa West's office is going to be Sheriff's Department space. And then the Sheriff's Department will keep its space to the right. As you go down the hallway, we'll redo the bathroom. It needs some major work. And then in the back on the right, which is the briefing room for the Sheriff's Department, that space will be taken by Juvenile Court Services. And Juvenile Court Services will stay where it is and then take that space. And then we have the back courtroom, we have no plans for it right now. Now, the judges, primarily the two judges that do criminal work, are asking that we keep it and keep it functional for jury trials. That would cause us some more operating costs, and part of what they would do in that room is going to be taken care of by that hearing room that we talked about, where they can take pleas and hear motions and things like that. So, but primarily upstairs, it's going to be Sheriff's Department space.
So if of course, you may keep those those courtrooms, but if you didn't, what would happen to the furniture in those courtrooms? The benches, like this.
We don't have any plans.
Okay,
right
just,
now.
just checking, okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think everybody knows that's the Vinnie age, what happened to Sheriff Walker, but is there a chance that we could do something like a courtroom
Yeah,
or
good.
a lobby or something like that?
Yeah.
And not put it, leave it kind of to honor.
In the new building, you're talking in
Yeah.
the new building? Sure. I mean,
That's a good idea.
whatever you guys think is appropriate, sure.
Mayor, how soon do we need this? Do we need to discuss that and move forward tonight? Is there,
I don't think so. And if, you just think about it, talk to folks that you know and that might have a strong opinion about it, and we can discuss it.
okay. Chairman, we could put that back on our agenda for next month, or whenever you think we're ready.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman Horner of the Justice Committee. We'll now move into the Finance Committee. Chairman Hahn, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We call the Finance Committee to order. If anyone would like to address the commission, you may do so at this time. Okay, moving on. We have a recurring business with our expenditure reports and our monthly checks. You can certainly look over those. New business in 4A, Homeland Security Grant application. Chris Bell, EMA Director, I suppose Mayor Britton's.
Yeah, he's asked me to make the presentation for him. Basically, this is the annual Homeland Security Grant that we apply for. His memorandum that's in your packet is merely asking for the permission to apply for this. The way that it's $24,000. The way these funds have been allocated over the years is they alternate between all the public safety agencies. And so for the 24 grant, it would be the rescue squad and Morristown Police Department would benefit from this grant money. But this is just a request for us to apply for the grant.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Harville. Mr. Reed motion, Mr. Harville second. Any discussion? Let's vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B, annual debt report for year ending June 30th, 2024. Mayor Britton.
One of the requirements from the comptroller's office is that we submit a report on the county's debt to the county commission every year. And so this is what we usually do it in April, May timeframe. So Amanda Hale, the finance director, has prepared this report with the help of Hamblen Securities, our financial advisor. A full report is not in your book. It's several pages, but it is available on the county website. It has been posted on the county website, so the full report is there. What we'll do at this meeting is just hit the highlights. If you'll look at slide number 2, it just shows the total debt as of the end of this year, of this fiscal year, will be $125,490,016. That'll be our total debt. If you look at slide 3, shows our debt rating. And our debt rating is AA3 and AA. It's about as good as you're going to get for a county our size. And so we've maintained that rating for a very long time. The next slide just shows a history of our fund balance in debt service, and we're sound in the debt service fund. And this year we're anticipating finishing the year almost 13 million in fund balance, and we'll use a couple $100,000 of that next fiscal year, so we would finish the year with about $12.5 million in fund balance. The next slide kind of shows you the structure of our debt, where the purple line, the purple horizontal line, is our revenue stream with assuming no increases in our tax base, and so it's a little over $10 million. Our right now, for this year, actually for next year, for the next 2 years, 2025, 2026, our debt payments are just a little bit above what we're projecting for our revenue stream, but that was anticipated. Actually, a few years ago when we were putting the financing plan together for the Justice Center, it looked like it was going to be much worse, but we were able our interest income has really helped in a revenue stream, because with interest rates being what they are, we were able to finance, because of your decision to finance the $90 million or $92 million at one time at a lower rate. And so the interest rates we're paying on our debt are lower than what we had first talked about. And so we've been able to manage, and instead of looking at not having any capacity to service any more debt till I think we were talking then about 2032, we will have capacity to service more debt in 2027. So, and what you're seeing in this graph is just how our debt payments are declining every year as we pay off principal. And what Chris Bessler tells me is he shows the comptroller's office this graph to show how a debt service schedule should look like. So we are at the top of the game as far as the way our debt is structured. So that's what that is for. And then in the pie chart on the next slide, you can see the division. The blue is the general government, which is primarily the Justice Center, and then the red is the school debt. And then the next slide is total debt per capita, and our debt per capita is about $2,148. It's higher than other surrounding counties, but they haven't had the infrastructure of the schools. Remember, we've issued debt in the last 4 years for the Justice Center as well as a new elementary school. So that's our report. On the debt report. Any questions?
Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion.
I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
Anyone have any questions for the mayor? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4C, grants update. Mayor Britton? Yeah, back up.
All right, this should be a handout that you got. It wasn't in your notebooks. I put it together this afternoon and what I wanted to do with this is just update you on, there's been a lot of activity in the grant area as far as applying for money that's available. The state of Tennessee, you know, got billions of dollars from the American Rescue Plan money. And what they've been doing over the last 6 months is making the money available in competitive and non-competitive grants. And so we've been active in chasing that money. So I just wanted to update you on where we are on some of these things, and because some of them are 2 years old, and just wanted you to be aware of where we are. First is the new health department building grant. And the big news in that one is that the state has awarded us $910,000 more without a match for this project. One, knowing that the money that the initial grant was not large enough really to build the grant or build the health department that we need. And then also other counties who have decided not to use money that they are awarded, they just redistributed the money to other counties who are moving forward. So we have $5.4 million available for that project. And the architects right now have worked with the health department staff at the regional level and the state level, and they're in the construction design phase. And so they're also, as far as the health department part of it and the county space, where the proposal is for ag extension to be relocated there, and also have some storage space for the voting machines. The medical examiner's office would relocate there as well. So that's kind of where we are on the health department. The goal is to bid the project in the fall, so that it would be a winter construction project, and hopefully attract more bidders that way. Next is the ARPA water infrastructure project. These are probably the first ones that got us started with the ARPA money, and these are state dollars and local dollars that have been awarded to Alpha Talbot Utility District, Russellville, Whitesburg, and Witt Utility District, about $1.5 million for each one. And they have selected their architects, their engineers, and they've gone through that process. Now they're working on the contracts for the engineering services. The same thing with the stormwater projects that we talked about, and we've selected an engineer, and the contract is being worked on to present to you. Next is the under the Tennessee Economic and Community Development is the Broadband Ready Community Grant, which is $100,000, which we have been awarded. We're waiting on the contract now from the state. And what this contract will do, the objective of this is to expand the access and the usage of broadband internet within the community. So what the plan is to partner with several nonprofits, talking about Senior Citizen Center and the Boys and Girls Club and Girls Inc. and Stepping Out and the library, Girls Inc., Marshtown Parks and Rec, and Cherokee Park. And the first thing that is going to be done is that their computer network, their internet capacity, their broadband capacity will be evaluated, and see if what they want to do to offer more classes, online classes, or classes within their program can be, if their systems can support it. And if they can't, then the grant would pay for improved routers or any equipment that they may need to get that done. And then also to create some hotspots in some of the public parks. Cherokee Park, there would be a designated area where folks could access the internet there. Fred Miller Park, I think Frank Loreno Park is one. I've talked to the city of Morristown, and there'll be about 3 city parks in Cherokee Park, which will have areas where folks can access the internet, and we'll have to work out the security and safety issues that brings, and that'll be part of that process. The next is the CDBG grant, which is a pumper tanker truck for the South Hamblen County Volunteer Fire Department. We're waiting on the state grant for that now. The grant is $420,000. The match be in the neighborhood of $130,000, which we will share with the South Volunteer Fire Department. The downside of this grant is just it takes 2 years almost to get a fire truck now, and so we've got to get the contract going. We've got the specs prepared, and we need to bid it as soon as we can because prices are going up all the time. The food insecurity grant, which we were awarded, purchasing is underway. The Avenue Church received $179,000. They're buying freezers, coolers, a refrigerator truck, a delivery truck, and some packaging supplies. And then the Morristown Hamblen Child Care Center is buying some equipment for their kitchen where they serve meals for the children there. The Violent Crime Intervention Grant, which Sheriff's Department applied for and received $179,000 2-year grant. Some items that have been purchased with that are the handguns, some tasers, taser supplies, spike systems, some training, and some flashlights and some surveillance cameras. The ELC grant that the Sheriff's Department received, $296,000. That's for jail equipment and supplies. We purchased about 300 mattresses, I think, some inmate jumpsuits, gloves, a body scanner, and we'll have 2 body scanners in the new facility, and a transport vehicle. So all that's been done with grant money. And what we have on the table that we've applied for and we've been approved to move forward to the second stage of the application process is a broadband facilities grant, which would help pay for the installation of all the internet-related, technical-related equipment, wiring for the new health department. So that'll help expand that pool of money for that project. And then also to renovate the library's community room so that it can be used for more classes and activities that would help people improve their online skills. And then lastly is we've applied for and been approved to move on to the next step, and that's for a historic preservation grant to either repair or replace the balconies on the south side of the courthouse. I've had in the budget for a couple of years now money for an engineer, a structural engineer, to look at the balconies, and haven't gotten that done. And so there is a grant now that the state is offering that would help us offset the cost of replacing or repairing the balconies. And so one of my next jobs will be to procure a structural engineer to give us some recommendations on that so they can help us go through this application process, which is due at the end of June. So that's just a report, Mr. Chairman. No action needed to take.
Does anyone have any questions for the mayor?
I've got one real quick. The fire truck, it shows it's waiting on contract. Have we got verbal confirmation of the grant being awarded?
Yes.
So it is a done deal?
We were on a call with the state last week
Okay.
about it.
Thank you so much.
Waiting on the contract.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Miss Amanda Hale?
Yeah,
Oh, Tracy's got this?
yeah.
Well, why does it have your name? I don't know. Item 4D1, Hamblen County Department of Education, Budget Amendment Number 7. No increase, moving funds from one line item to another. Tracy Anthony, thank you.
There are 2 portions to this amendment. The first is an amendment that we had to bring last year as well for Transportation Department. We continue to struggle to staff our bus driver positions. And when that happens, some of our existing staff, including mechanics and some of our non-certified staff, drive for us, which means that we incur overtime for those folks. And this amendment's moving funds into salaries and benefits to finish out the year. The second part is our special education department, and it moves funds into the travel and the contracted services line items. In years past, we have received what they call high-cost funding from the state of Tennessee. And what that is, the state determines how much, on average, it costs to provide services to a special education student in districts across the state. If you incur expenses over and above that for additional services that you need to provide, they'll reimburse. So the state raised the threshold this year, and we didn't qualify for those funds. And so we need to move funds into, these are the two line items we normally use that grant funding for. And so we need to move some funds into those line items to cover the rest of the year. In addition to that, on the contracted services side, we struggle to staff our speech department as well to provide services. And so this moves funding into that line because we had to utilize virtual speech services for students most of this year. And that's an additional cost that we incurred in that line item. And I'll be happy to answer any questions on this particular amendment. It's no additional money, just moving the line item.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Reed, a second?
Second.
Mr. Doty, any questions? Very good, let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain, Mr. Chairman, because that involves my department.
It does, exactly. Thank you, Mr. Long. Motion passes. Item 4D2, Hamblen County Department of Education Budget Amendment Number 8, an increase of $1,262,500.21. Ms. Sandra.
This is our annual budget amendment to request acceptance of the grant funds from the state of Tennessee for our summer learning camps. Our programs will be running June 3rd through 28th this year, and the state has provided a little over $1.2 million to provide those services, to include all the staffing, supplies. They provide our student snacks and transportation. Our school nutrition department also provides breakfast and lunch for those programs. And this is pending board approval tomorrow evening, and that's because the State Department sends the notification of the money so late, and the camp starts in June, so we want to bring it to you before camp starts. If anything were to happen tomorrow evening that it wasn't approved, we would notify you immediately. Be happy to answer questions about that one.
Yes.
Well, let's get it on the table, okay?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Harville, motion to approve. I need a second. Mr. Reed, thank you. Ms. Howell?
Yes, sir, thank you. How about how many students are served?
We have capacity for 1,215 students this year.
Okay, very good,
Not
thank
that
you.
All those spots will be filled, but
That's,
that's
oh,
what
good.
we're
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, let's vote this motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain, Mr. Chairman, that involves my department too.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Long. Thank you, Ms. Antrim. Item 4D3, Fund 101, Capital Equipment, $77,738. Miss Amanda Hale.
In July of '22, Commission voted to approve an application for a grant for an EMPG ARPA grant for the EMA office. And the equipment that was intended for that grant has now been purchased, and we have received the grant funds in. So this budget amendment recognizes that revenue from the grant and also the expense. It paid for half of Chris Bell's new EMA truck and the other half of the expense for the new 911 tower that will be at what is the health department now, but will be in the 911 office.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Mr. Cutshaw, do I have a second?
second.
I didn't get that. Who was that?
Me.
Ms. Howell, thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Hale? All right, let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4D4, Fund 101, Cherokee Park, $2,487.26.
The boat dock reimburse the county as they do each year for a prorated amount of water usage that they consume. And this budget amendment recognizes that revenue that we receive from the boat dock, and we're putting it against the expense for Cherokee Park's water and sewer.
Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Mr. Long, second. Mr. Huntsman. Any questions? Let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4D5, Fund 101, Circuit Court, $8,044.
This one, Teresa has asked to move $8,044 from her reserve account to her data processing equipment line, and that will be to cover the cost of some new scanners for her office. I think she'll use in the new building. She's going ahead and purchasing things along that she'll use at the new Justice Center.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Doty, I need a second.
I'll second.
Mr. Harville. Any questions? Let's take the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4D6, Fund 101, Circuit Court, $20,110.
Budget amendment is for circuit court, same as the previous one, only this one she's moving money from her reserve account to cover the cost of 25 new Dell computers for her office.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Doty, I have a second. Mr. Cutshaw, any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item 4D7, Fund 101, Courtroom Security, $12,000.
This budget amendment is more of an end-of-year amendment to move money into overtime and uniforms for courtroom security to get us through the June 30th, but there was additional funds in medical insurance that we're using to cover that.
I have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Doty, do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Howell, thank you very much. Any questions on this? Okay, we'll vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item 4D8, Fund 101, Drug Court, $10,000.
Drug court received notice from the state that they're going to be awarded an additional $10,000 for their grant, and Penny Knight will be using that to purchase additional drug panel testing kits for her participants. So this budget amendment recognizes that $10,000 in revenue and the offsetting expense.
Mr. Huntsman has a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Reed, thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, let's vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item 4D9, Fund 101, Hamblen County Sheriff's Department, $1,300.02.
The Sheriff's Department had an SRO officer that was attending the academy, but they didn't finish the academy, and that we were in turn reimbursed for part of their cost, and that's what this recognizes, that revenue, and then puts it back into the expense line it was initially taken out of.
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Long makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Harville makes a second. Any questions on this? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item 4D10, Fund 101, Jail, $10,000.
This budget amendment is moving $10,000 from the guard line to other equipment for the jail in order to purchase additional mattresses.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Cutshaw, do I have a second? Mr. Doty? Any questions?
These mattresses, Amanda, are these for the new facility or are this for existing?
If I may, these mattresses will also be reimbursed by the ELC grant.
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4D11, Fund 101, Libraries Contributions, $18,100.
So in last year's budget, there was $18,100 in capital improvements budgeted for the library. We didn't get an invoice for that before the end of the year, and it rolled into fund balance. We've since gotten an invoice because they actually did the work last year, but, so now we have reimbursed the library, and then this budget amendment takes that money out of fund balance to cover the amount.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Ms. Howell, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Harville, any questions? Let's vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4D12, Fund 101, Register of Deeds, $5,500.
This budget amendment is moving $5,500 from the Register of Deeds reserve account into his data processing equipment line to cover some scanning of deed books that Jim was wanting to take care of.
I have a motion.
Motion.
Mr. Doty, do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Howell, thank you. Any questions? We'll vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4D13, Fund 101, Soil Conservation, $29,335.
This year's budget commission voted to hire a new resource conservationist, and the money, it's a federal, state, and local position. So we are receiving $17,371 this year from the state to offset the cost of that new position, and along with it, and then moving money from a salary line and medical insurance that will offset the salary and benefit cost in that new position. So no new money, just moving things around.
Have a motion to accept.
Motion.
Ms. Howell, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Doty, thank you. Any questions? Let's vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4D14, Fund 101, Sheriff's Department, $60,000.
So at the end of June last year, the Sheriff's Department, we received $33,343 in insurance recovery for a total vehicle that they had. So that money wasn't spent by the end of June, and it rolled into fund balance. Now they're requesting that that money be moved back out of fund balance, as well as $26,657 that we previously budgeted for the impound lot out at Oak Tree Plaza to cover the cost of a new vehicle for the K-9 officer. And the money for the impound lot will not be used. So therefore, we're using it as well as those insurance proceeds.
Do I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Long, thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Reed, thank you very much. Any questions?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Ms. Howell?
Yes, sir, thank you. I was looking at 58110 tourism.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's, I'm just, maybe you could enlighten me.
Commissioner, let's vote through this motion and then
Yes,
we
sir.
can get to that.
All right, fair enough. Hold on a minute.
It's not pertaining to the motion on the floor, I don't think, or is
Okay.
it?
Don't want Amanda to get away, though.
Okay,
We'll come right back to you.
okay, all right.
Now let's vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Now, Commissioner Howell, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir, thank you. About that tourism, yes, ma'am.
So is there one of those three in particular or all of them?
Well, I just wondered how it got to be in the negative.
I have to do a budget amendment for the end of the year, so it won't be in the negative, because as we receive sponsorships for the 4th of July, then I need to put money back into that line to
Okay.
recognize those sponsorships. And we've gone ahead and paid a deposit for the fireworks.
Right.
So that's why it's at
That makes sense. While we're on that page, how about that miscellaneous? Was that vehicle? Anyway, it was 58,900. Kind of about 5 or 6 below tourism.
I don't remember, but I will make a note of it and I can.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Oh, and then the public safety projects, good golly, that's gotta be vehicles, right? No, or in, okay,
That's the SRO.
vehicles, okay. All righty, thank you, Amanda. Thank you
They
very
got you
much.
covered?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Hahn of the Finance Committee. We'll now move into Personnel Committee. Chairman Doty, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Personnel Committee meeting to order. Are there any visitors wishing to address this committee? Speak now. Seeing none, we'll move forward. Old business, we have none. New business, item 4A, Tennessee Department of Health, county employees raises salary adjustments. Ms. Ashley Lyons.
Hello. So you should have a SOP, a standard operating procedure in your packet. So with this, how we are currently laid out at the health department is we have state employees and we also have DGA employees that fall under county contract that the state reimburses every year or throughout the month for their salaries, their insurance, their travel, anything pertaining to their job. So, what is not the same currently is if I'm a state employee, I get a raise according to the state and a bonus if they're given bonuses based on my performance via the state. If I am a county or a DGA contract employee who works for the health department, then the way it is currently structured, any type of balance or bonus or salary increase comes from the county. So the state does reimburse that increase if there is a bonus or a salary increase. It just may not reflect what the state employee is getting. So what makes that different is we're the only division in the state that does it that way. Most divisions are, if I work for the education department, I'm either that whole division is a state or a county employee. We are divided. The majority of the employees at the Hamblen County Health Department are actually county employees or listed as DGA employees. So what this standard operating procedure is asking to do is that moving forward, beginning July 1st, is that the state, any type of salary increase or bonus would also be applicable to a county employee that falls only for the health department. We're asking for it. So under the SOP, Class 1 states that the county would move forward with the same plan as the state. Another thing that would change is a state employee does not get longevity. That's a new hire. This would change. The county still does longevity, and that again falls to health department employees. So that would be part of the change too, is that after July 1st, because the state does not allow or no longer pays for longevity for new hires, that the county would also follow that plan. So if you move forward with option 2, that states that a new hire would be brought in at the salary that the state plans for that job, an entry level or whatever position is required. Maybe they have an extra degree or something. There is some negotiating on salary, so that you would abide by the state salary. However, moving forward, if the county decides that they want to stay with the county, any type of raise or bonus, then anything that's in a variation from what the state would be paying their employees, the county would offset that cost. So as a state employee, if I'm getting a 3% raise for the year and the county allots to do a 5%, then the county would be responsible for that difference of 2% that the state maybe didn't offer that year. And you would continue to pay that overages until you realigned. So that, I'm sure finance would be not in their best interest. It would just be a constant battle back and forth. The third option is that a DGA employee who works for the health department follows all of the county's salary, their entry-level salary structure, your bonuses, any increases, everything would follow the county structure. And then, again, it would be, if there's any variation, it would fall to the county to make up that variation if it's an overages. So option 1 is what our recommendation is, because it keeps the health department employees aligned with their entry-level pay, along with any bonuses or any salary increases that would be established throughout the year. And it's usually just one time a year that you're going to see that. And it comes, they usually will offer those around September. We would get notification from the governor about whether or not we would qualify for those. So it is a very different setup, and we need your all's decision on which option, so that we can submit it to the state. So what would you like moving forward?
Do we have any questions?
I've got one. If the state pay raise is, for instance, less than what the county pay raise would be, what happens then?
So really with any of the options, if it's less than, if the county agrees and wants to continue to pay them on the county structure, then the county would offset. Like if I'm getting a 5% raise because I'm a county employee and the state gave 3%, the county would pay that difference of the 2%. You would not get, currently you get reimbursed. So if you all give a 5% and the state gives 3%, then those employees are getting reimbursed at that 5%. Here in Hamblen County, it's really, y'all have been very good with that, but there's other counties that maybe go for, a few years and don't get any type of raise. So they did a compression on salaries back around January, so that if I'm working as a PHOA, which is our office registration, and I'm a state employee and I'm making a set, let's say I make $20 an hour, and then I'm a DGA employee that's been here doing the same position, working the same, I've worked the same amount of years, but maybe the offset of raises and pay increases hasn't equaled out, then they compressed and made everybody back at the same rate of pay. And they also included years of service, so that everybody is at entry level plus a certain percentage. So what they want to do, instead of us getting off schedule again, that some counties are making, starting to get 5–10% bonuses, you've got a county like a Sevier County, that structure is very different. So we want to keep those employees making the same salary, doing the same job for the same department. That's what the goal is of the state right now.
Get that answer.
So that's really, if I choose option 2 or 3, and you decide to not follow what the state has lined up for their structure for the year for increases, then the county would be responsible to pay the differences.
Mayor, I will ask a question. If that was to happen and we had to pick up the difference, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
And we, as the mayor's office and finance department, recommend option one.
That was my question, because I see Miss Amanda back there going,
Amanda does
Giving
not
us-
want you to.
okay.
The majority of counties, the ones who have voted so far have all chosen option one. We actually have Blount County and Sevier County started this last fiscal year, which our fiscal year runs July 1st to June 30th. So they have already implemented this plan, and they've not had any problems with it. So those were the first two in our region, which we have a 15-county region in the East region. And they're wanting it done by very soon. So,
Do we have any more questions or discussions? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for option one.
Have a motion?
Second.
Option one. Who second? Mr. Horner, second. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor of choosing option one for the Tennessee Department of Health County Employees Raise Salary Adjustments, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nay? Hearing none, motion passes.
we'll get a letter with that this option A is a selection. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. We'll now open up our Public Services Committee. Chairman Mike Richardson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call to order the Public Service Committee. Anyone wishing to address the committee can speak now, please. Seeing none, we'll go on to item 3, no old business. Item 4, new business. Item 4A, Resolution 24A, resolution to amend the zoning map of Hamblen County, Tennessee by rezoning District 03, tax map 0130, Group A, parcel 003.00, address of 8027 East AJ Highway, Whitesburg, Tennessee, 37891, from A1 to C1.
Yes, sir. This request and the next request kind of go hand in hand. It's common ownership, adjacent parcels, so I'm just going to kind of put it all in one report here. Staff did receive a request to rezone 8027 and 8035 East AJ, as you stated, from A1 to C1. 8027 East Andrew Johnson is approximately 1 acre in size and does contain a former restaurant, so it did have a commercial use on its property. 8035 East Andrew Johnson is 3/4 of an acre and is currently vacant. Most of the properties to the north of this, or these two parcels, are zoned A1 with agricultural or single-family uses. However, commercial zoning and commercial uses do exist to the south and west of this parcel along East Andrew Johnson Highway. Based on the surrounding commercial zoning and uses, staff recommends approval.
Okay. Should we take these as two separate motions?
We should.
Okay.
He did explain it, but we should take these.
All right, so need a motion for item 4A.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. You have a second?
Second.
Okay, so any discussion on item 4A? If none, we'll call a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by like sign. That motion carries. Okay, so the next one would be resolution to amend the zoning map of Hamblen County, Tennessee by rezoning District 03, tax map 0130, Group A, parcel 004.00, 8035 East AJ Highway, Whitesburg, Tennessee, 37891, from A1 to C1. So I have a motion on that.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Walker. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Harlan. Any discussion? None, let's call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, a like sign. The motion carries. Thank you. Item 4C, Resolution 24, a resolution to appeal to amend the zoning map of Hamblen County, Tennessee by rezoning District 03, tax map 013, parcel part of 005.00, 989 Simpson Road, Whitesburg, Tennessee, 37891, from A1 to C1.
Yes, sir. This is a request, as you just stated, rezone 989 Simpson Road from agricultural district to the county's commercial district, their C1 district. The reason for this request is to accommodate the property owner's ever-growing construction business, East Tennessee Turf and Landscape. This parcel is near the Hawkins County line, and it's primarily agricultural in this area, very rural part of the county. All the surrounding properties within 1 mile, as the crow flies, is zoned A1. As a result, staff cannot support the rezoning request at this time. We view it as spot zoning, and a construction laydown yard that's their construction business does not fit in with the surrounding land uses or the surrounding districts. We'd be happy to answer any questions on this one.
Okay, I have a question.
So we need to make a motion first or to ask questions to Josh?
We can ask questions to Josh, but we need to allow the
Okay.
owners
Ms.
to.
Ms. Howe, go ahead.
Okay, so it seems like we did do that in A. So there was this, so in A, we had an A1 and it went to a C1. Okay, so nobody blinked. And then we go to the next, and then the next one, and there's agricultural land there, around there. And so we didn't have a problem with that, but now we have a problem.
Well, are you talking about the previous rezoning?
Yes, or the two before, yes, sir.
Okay, so kind of the difference here is along East AJ, you do have commercial uses. You do have commercial zoning districts right across the street. There's adjacent parcel zone commercial. So you have similar land uses, similar intensity. This, where their C1, follows with the similar intensity. And it's adjacent, so you have commercial there along that corridor. Most of the farming is north of this toward their property.
We ask Mr. Overbay to come to the podium, please. I think we need to let the owners describe how the
Yeah, we can do
first
that.
permit was.
I think we
Everybody
give
understands.
latitude here, without the motion and the second at this point, just get all the information on the, out. So, yes, sir, you proceed and give us your,
What do you want to say?
well, just
Start with the
your
first
your
building.
request and,
So in 2008, we requested to add on another building to use as a personal use, as a garage / office, whatever. At that time, the business is not where it is today. So from 2008 to 2016, it was pretty much just I was the only one in the office by myself in the building. It was enough for me. I mean, I could sleep if I needed to, take a shower, I could work out of it. 2016, the business started growing, and so I had to put a secretary in there full time, and so for the next 3 or 4 years, it was just me and her, and so today there is me and 5 other people in the office building. Currently, we've outgrown it. We have started an apprentice program with the company. So along with the apprentice program, we have to do virtual training. We have to do online training with the program with the new enrollees, the people that's in the apprentice program. So there's stuff to be done every month. Right now, we don't have the room to do all that. It's going to take several computers to set up for them to do it at the same time. We have 58 employees now. So right now we're just pretty much doing all we can do with the building we have. We're going to add on approximately 2,500 to 3,000 square feet. And now this is going back to the original part with the building that we have now. When they approved it back in 2008, I'm not sure how the zoning classifies a house called, But, shortly after we completed it, we started getting a new tax card with it. It has its own individual tax card with a C1 class code rating, or classification. So we pay a separate commercial property tax for that building already. As of last year, was it 2023? So 2023, it picked up, I guess the tax assessor's office picked up, a larger scale. They reappraised the building, reappraised the property itself, picked up, instead of a half acre, they picked up like 3.5 acres. Adjusted the appraisal value, and therefore the taxes went up. So, for the last 13 years, we've been paying commercial taxes on the same piece of property.
And that fronts a state highway in that
So
location.
the road it's on is a state highway. As Mr. Cole said, it is a mile from 11E. The roadways are the same width. The road is built just as good as 11E is. So, I mean, we do have trucks that go up and down the road every day. My trucks leave at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. They don't return until 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, otherwise than, a few may come and go in the daytime, if we were cut short, or if they finish up what they're doing that day. But for the most part, it just depends on the traffic, but we don't disrupt traffic. Most time we're gone before school traffic is in, and then we come in after school traffic is already out.
And you've been doing that for several years?
We've been working out there since 2008, but really heavily since 2016, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You really haven't had a lot of, yeah.
This new building, you said about 3,000 square feet, will be office space or just office?
There'll be office space, there'll be a conference room, there'll be a kind of a training room.
I got you, okay. So it's not, you're not gonna put, working on trucks in it or anything like that?
We have a shop there already, but
Right.
anything other than maintenance work, minor repairs, we do there, service and stuff. If it's major, everything goes to the dealership we work on. We don't have the computers or technology to work on stuff.
I understand. Thank you.
Now, you've been paying a commercial tax rate since 2010, is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
And the property assessor's record is only, when I checked the property assessor, it only goes back to 2010, on that special interest parcel, which is the garage that he had pulled out on the half acre, had been assessed at 40%.
When was the second building built?
2009. The original building, metal building, was built 2005. The other building we've got a variance in 2008 and then construction in 2009. I think by the time they picked it up, it's 2010, after we completed it, after they came to do the final inspection.
Was there a building permit for it?
Yes.
There was a building permit for both buildings.
As far as I know, I believe so, yes. I know the first building, I'm not 100% sure on, but the second one for sure. The one that, the 1,600 square foot building.
Your tax assessment, is it for the real estate property or for the personal property? It's a C1.
The commercial rate, pulled out the shop itself, he has now went back and picked up the office space as well. So it is an assessed a footprint. So he calculated the estimated amount of acres associated with it.
So all your trucks and all that stuff is taxed separately and
Correct, it's still a
F&E
commercial
kind
property on
of,
the trucks.
Yeah, it's about 40,000 a year.
yeah.
It's how much a year?
Well, the personal property tax is about 40,000 a year.
Interrupt just for a moment, please. For the record, we need you to state your name and Mr. Barnard as well for our minutes, if you would.
Nicholas Overbay, owner, 98964.
Nicholas Overbay.
Joey Barnett.
Thank
Now,
you.
am I correct in stating that the new state highway is going to probably be within a half a mile of your facility? Is that correct?
Yes,
Will it affect any of your property?
not at that place, but I have other property as well. I'm looking forward to it.
Has anybody jumped up and down because you do get your truck started at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.? Okay. Everybody's still sleeping? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, after looking at this and reviewing it, it could be a sample of spot zoning, but it is on a state highway, and the business has grown. And I think with the new road coming through, it opens up for more opportunities in that area. On top of that, if Mr. Overbay is paying $40-some thousand a year in commercial taxes, I will put a motion on the floor that we go ahead and rezone this from A1 to C1.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
I have one point, just because this is, could be viewed in a different light, I'd like to make note that they've been under commercial rate since 2010 in the minutes on that.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Neesmith, and
You good?
No other discussion? If not,
Wait a
let's,
minute, did you?
I think he made the second, and then he,
Oh,
I did.
Oh,
Stan did.
my bad.
Which, let me ask you a question. How close is your closest neighbor to where you are? Because you own a big parcel.
I own 200 feet. That's closest person. There's a house across the street, but no one lives there.
Right.
The lady that owns it is behind it, so, but, it'd either be, my father, northwest, northeast, or it would be, Elrod, one is fine.
But how far is that from you?
500 feet probably, maybe just more.
Have they ever had an issue with you conducting business throughout the years? Okay.
I've never had a complaint that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Most time people stop by to get stuff all the time.
okay. Any other discussion? If not, let's call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chairman. We'll now move into our Calendar and Rules Committee. Chairman Doty, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Calendar and Rules Committee meeting to order. Do we have any visitors wishing to address this committee? May do so now. Seeing none, we'll move forward. Item 3A, old business, we have none. Item 4A, we have the review of the regular calendar items, and we have one small change, which if you looked at your regular calendar, under Order 9, we had 9B, which was naming the new Justice Center, and that's been tabled, so we'll be removing that. And do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Horner, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Ahern. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B is review of the consent calendar items. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Hone. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. At this point, we will take a, what shall we say? We'll try to do a 5-minute recess, please. We are back in session.
That ain't the coolest I've ever seen.
Y'all ready? All right, we're back in session now. Call on Chairman Hahn of the Budget Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Call our Budget Committee to order. Anyone wishing to address the committee may do so at this time. Okay, we'll move on. Under new business, item 4A, fiscal year 2024, 2025 budget overview presentation. Mayor Britt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and folks, we're just going to take a few minutes just to take a broad look at the budget, and then our sheriff isn't going to be here on Saturday when we have our marathon session, so we'll present the sheriff's budget. He and I will following this. All right, and you may recall that in the month of April, we did a citizen survey on county government services, and I just wanted to touch a little bit on the results of that. We had 767 folks respond. It was an online survey that was promoted in print and social media, and as well as some broadcast media. And the way it was ranked is a 5-point scale, 5 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. And the importance of county services and the ranking by the citizens is the Sheriff's Department and Public Safety was number 1 at 4.7. And then education, highway, and sanitation were ranked at 4.6. So those were the ones that ranked the highest among our folks that they felt was important for us to pay attention to. And the satisfaction part of it, the satisfaction question, sanitation was number 1 with a 4.1 ranking, and then the Sheriff's Department, the jail operation, and the library. So those got the highest rankings as far as satisfaction of county services. As far as budget spend, what needs more funding? Highways was the top, and then education and veteran service, which, in my opinion, folks don't probably understand that the county doesn't fund veteran service as far as the benefits go. We do have an officer here, but as far as benefits, that's the federal government. So that ranks 3rd as far as needing more funding, and then the Sheriff's Department is in 4th place. And then as far as how do folks get their information about county government, most mention social media, and then the county website, and then print and email and other media ranked behind that. So that's just a brief summary. In your presentation there, you have the full results of the survey. Okay. So let's start the budget process. Is how we do the budget. I think for this commission, this is your 2nd budget cycle, I believe, and the way that we've done it in the past is during the month of March, the finance director and Dennis, her accountant, financial accountant, and myself meet with the departments. They present their budget requests. We discuss their operations and their needs, and then. And the month of April, we compile the budget, research other things that we need to be considered, and then we meet with you and make a presentation in May, and the budget and the tax rate are adopted in June. Now, here's our illustration of the bucket system. It is just that in county government and the way that we operate under the fund system is that different services are funded from different buckets, and state law requires that. In some cases, there's certain revenues that go in certain buckets and for certain departments, and in some cases, in most cases, it's up to you on how you fund things. But that's what I mean by there's different buckets for the various funds. And you have your general fund, which is most of county government, and you have your highway fund, where the gas tax goes into the highway fund. That's required. The sanitation fund, that's something that we have, and then the debt service fund, the highway capital projects fund. That's the fund that we've decided that the
wheel tax increase, that money goes in there, and then you have your schools, your school fund. All right, and then as far as revenues go, county government is rather limited on how it can generate revenue. You have your property tax, your sales tax, and then wheel tax. And then there's fees, some fees that are collected by the various offices, and you'll see that in your budget book as far as the various revenues. And the wheel tax is divided $27 in general fund and $23 capital projects fund. We have state grants, as you heard. That's why I wanted to do the grant update, was because we'll be talking about some of that during the budget process, and I wanted you to be aware of where we are on that. Now, our sales tax, let's look at our sales tax history, and this kind of shows you our philosophy as far as budgeting revenues is what this graph is trying to communicate is the blue area of the sales tax collections is for, that's sales tax that we budgeted. We budgeted, we anticipated that, we budgeted it. The red is what we received above budget. And so, like this year that we're in, this year, we anticipate receiving about $3.6 million more than we budgeted in sales tax, and most of that is in schools. And so that's just kind of, I wanted to kind of communicate is we budget low on the revenue side, or conservatively, and we've been successful in that, and we've been able to maintain fund balances or be able to manage our departments because we do that, and have avoided tax increases because of that. All right, in sales tax, as far as the law goes on sales tax, the first 50 cents, now this is local option sales tax. There's the state and there's the local option, and the local option is 2.75%. And that's on top of the 7% for state sales tax. The first 50 cents of every local option sales tax dollar goes to the Department of Education, goes to the Board of Education for education. So the first 50 cents goes there. This year, we're anticipating that we'll receive in sales tax for schools over $21 million, which is about $3.7 million over budget. So that money goes to their fund balance, goes to their reserve. So that's what we're anticipating this year, so that they'll have $3.7 million of sales tax going to their fund balance. And the table underneath that, it shows you how the sales tax is divided among the various departments. If you look at the second from the right column, it says estimated. That's the projection that we're making for this year for sales tax collections in the general fund. That's a special communication sales tax that goes to the general fund. Solid waste, which is the garbage fund, our sanitation fund, that's where the bulk of our sales tax goes. And then we moved for 1 year, last year, to balance the budget in the highway department, $649,000 in sales tax. So that's where it was budgeted for the year we're in today. Now, next year, what we're proposing as far as budget goes is $16,800 in the general fund, and then in solid waste return some of the sales tax that was moved to the highway fund, return it back to solid waste, and I'll show you why in a minute. Back to 1.9 million, and then highway, $200,000 of sales tax would stay in the highway department. The next slide is about property assessments, and that's valuations on the property and what your property taxes are based on. They're based on the value of your property as well as the tax rate that the county commission sets. And you can see this in this history of this slide that the building boom that we've had before interest rates started going up increased our assessments for the year we're in now by about 4%, which is the most I can remember. Generally, our increases are around 1%.
and we anticipate that this year. And there was also an equalization ratio that factored into that reduced our increase in assessments, but that'll be corrected next year during the reappraisal. So, so just a graph to show you the history of our assessment growth. Our current property tax rate is 79 cents for the general fund, 43 for debt service, 54 for schools, and then that's what's taxed on property inside the city limits, because we do not provide sanitation or garbage collection for city residents. Then outside, property outside the city is charged a 21-cent tax rate for sanitation and garbage collection. A penny on the tax rate this year, or for the 24 tax year, is 162.8 countywide. And for property outside the city, which is the solid waste or the sanitation tax rate, will generate about $62,400 per penny. All right, the next chart is just, I like to show this every year just to give you an idea of where we rank among other communities in East Tennessee as far as our property tax rates. And this shows a combination rate, city-county rate, and how we compare with 18 other communities in East Tennessee, and we're the fourth lowest. We're usually right in 2, 3, 4, just based on with reappraisals, and with reappraisal process, the tax rate goes down, and whichever county is in that process. So next year, when you see this graph with the reappraisal, we'll probably be second or third. But we're always in the lower quarter of the region as far as property tax rate. So I like to show that to show where our tax rates are compared to other communities. Okay, let's get to the general fund, and just a review of the general fund this year that we're in. We anticipate a $2.1 million surplus this year, and primarily it's because of the staffing of the jail, and we didn't get all the positions staffed, but they're in the process, and they're making good progress with that. Also, we had additional revenue in some areas, and you can see that in your budget book if you go through the revenue side, and that will build our fund balance to over $15 million, which is the largest that I can remember it. And if you think about what we did this year, as far as what we accomplished, especially with the Sheriff's Department starting an SRO program, and almost from scratch, had 2 officers, and then with the help of the state and the city, it was a real team effort, in my opinion. And the Board of Education is very happy with the way that things are going with the SRO program. We started staffing the jail. The way we budgeted it was we had about 21 positions that were budgeted for 6 months, and about 20 more that were budgeted for 3 months. And so the Sheriff's Department's been filling those gradually throughout this time. And then we've also, last year we took a big hit on health insurance, and we had to increase our contributions to our self-insurance fund, and it strengthened our health insurance fund, and we have no increase planned for next year's budget on that. So I guess what this chart shows is just our beginning point for the 24-25 budget is $15.3 million for our fund balance. So that's where we'll start as we move forward. Any questions up to this point before we get into next year's budget? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, when you said, I'm looking back at the red and the blue page. Okay. Now, did I understand that so that everything in the red goes to education?
No.
Okay, good. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
One other thing, when you compared the counties, and it says Jefferson City and White Pine, are you saying their city, or you're saying the county itself?
It's comparing combined tax rates. If you look at that chart,
I have not done a county by county.
Okay, all right.
That's the combined tax rate
Okay.
for those.
Chairman, one clarification, Mayor, back to Commissioner Howe's question, the red block, the school system still gets 50% of any sales tax collected.
Yes, that's correct,
But-
but that's not all schools. But the red is not all schools, which I think was the question.
Yes, sir. My question was, thank you, is, does the red does not, just smack dab go over to the schools?
That's correct.
Okay,
The bulk of it does, but not all of
okay,
it. 50% of it does.
okay.
Any other questions? Good question. Okay, let's look at this coming year, 24, 25. The budget document that's in front of you has a $4.1 million deficit in it. And that includes moving 6 cents from the school tax rate to general fund and replacing that with sales tax dollars. This budget includes funding 49 new jail employees for a full year. It's 49 new employees for a full year. And that includes those that we funded partially this year. Includes the same people, but with a couple of more. It's a reappraisal year, so you'll see with the assessor's budget is more because of the cost of the reappraisal. And we're on a 5-year cycle right now. Every 5 years we do a reappraisal. And capital one-time expenses are $2.2 million. Of that $4.1 million deficit, 2.2 of it is capital. And the bulk of it is the cost of building out the county space in the Oak Tree Plaza Shopping Center. Not the health department space, although there is some capital expense in the budget for that. It's primarily for the other 9,000 square feet. And then there's a 5% COLA for all employees in this budget. So you start with a $15.3 million fund balance, revenues of almost 30 million, expenditures of about 34, and you end the year with about $11 million fund balance, or about 33% of our expenditures. And our goal is to have about 25%. Now, and that's if we spend every penny, and if we don't collect more revenue than what we've budgeted. And we have a history, if you look again at the growth of our fund balance, is there's been years where we've had deficits, not this large, but we've had deficits in the budget, and we've ended up in the black. And it's because of the way that we project revenue and budget revenue. And our departments do a good job in managing the money, don't spend all their money as well. Just some more details about the expenditures in the general fund, and we'll go into more detail on these on Saturday, is 49 corrections officers to make a total of 103. 20 SROs are in the budget with 18 state school security grants of the $75,000. And then we have one mental health caseworker that's funded for 9 months for the mental health court, which is a state grant. It's $150,000, and that's their budget, is what the state grant is, and so that's in there. The capital expenditures of $2.2 million includes one car, and that's for our building inspector, $10,000 for HVAC units for county buildings, the $50,000 for the structural engineer for the balcony. The commitment that we made earlier this year, the $85,000 to match the school system's 85 and the city's 170 for the J-turn, to construct the J-turn at the intersection, or to impact the intersection of MLK Boulevard and Highway 160. The animal shelter expansion, this year we budgeted $200,000. $100,000 of it was a contribution for an expansion of the shelter, and another $100,000 was to be a match for fundraising. None of it has been paid out this year, And understand they're having a fundraiser later this month. But what we're wanting to do is not pay out anything this year and hold on to it and rebudget it next year, and then support, as they make progress in a building fund, then we can support it as they make progress, but do it one step at a time. So we would not spend the 200 we've got in the budget now and rebudget it next year. And then the budget for the building out the county space is $1.5 million. That's about 160 for office space. It's about 160 to 170. Wait a minute. Yes, 160 to 170,000 per square foot, and the space that we're talking about is about 9,000 square feet. So that's 1.44 million, I think. So we budgeted 1.5.
Mayor,
Yes.
on that animal shelter, you know, maybe if we don't, could we not get some more little cages without all, I mean, we just don't have, yeah, it's very frightening for people to call and say, I've got 3 mean dogs on my porch, and when they call, there's no place to put them.
I mean, we could, and I've thought about, let's take the 100,000 that we were going to give them for their building program, and let's find some solutions to the problems they have today. And we haven't done it. I mean, that's an option. But the long term is they need to expand their building.
Yeah, well, or
Do they have somebody that has that vision up there of what to do?
Yeah, I think so. But I'm not real confident in that. That's why.
I mean, if I had $100,000, I believe I would try to do something to expand it some with the need that there is, you know.
the need is big. We've got plenty of dogs running around.
It's huge.
Okay.
And for nonprofits, nonprofits or quasi-governmental, is the 911 Center has asked for $200,000 jointly between the city and county in additional funding. Last year, we increased our funding and the city didn't. What I've got in this budget is $17,000, which gets us on the same level as the cities. And it's not, I'm not sure exactly how much the city has based on the formula that we have. Part of the formula in funding 911 is, and this is a relationship between us and the city, is part of it's based on call volume. And so a certain percentage of, I think half of the funding is based on call volume. So Morristown PD has the largest call volume. We pay for the ambulance services. That's in our calculation. Sheriff's Department, EMS and Sheriff's Department are number 2. Morristown Fire Department are 3 or 4 right in there. So that's how part of it is split, and another part of it is split in half. And then EMS makes a contribution of about $14,000. So in this formula, what I'm proposing is we add $17,000. And I've talked it over with Andrew Ellard, and we're in agreement on our share and what they're doing as well. So as a total, I can't tell you. I'll find out by Saturday of the 200,000 how much the city and county is willing to add. So I'll know that Saturday. The library they've asked for a pay raise for their people, and they've asked for some more material. They've also asked for some capital, like the renovation of the community room. They ask for money for that. And we've delayed, that's not in the budget, we've delayed that until we find out about this broadband facilities grant, because that would fund the renovation of the community room.
And so we've put that off. But we've got 24,000 more in library funding. Parks and Recreation have asked for a $200,000 increase. We fund $300,000 to them. They've done this the last 3 or 4 years, has asked for $500,000. So that is not in the budget. The $200,000 is not in the budget document that you have. In new requests for funding, Morristown Hamblen EMS is asking for funding to make some purchases of some equipment. They've asked for $300,000, and the concept is they want to be treated like the volunteer fire departments are treated, which all 4 volunteer fire departments we fund at $300,000, and that covers the county. So EMS is asking that since they cover the whole county that they be funded that way. I've put $75,000 in the budget, the same as the volunteer fire departments. And then the opioid abatement money, we could use, my thought is we could use $75,000 of it. And that would give them $150,000 in money to buy 5 of the new gurneys that reduce the strain on their employees, as far as the physical strain on the backs, and they're more automated, and that's what they want to do with it. And then over time, you can increase funding for them. But this is, if you want, this is a recurring request from EMS that they want to be able to build a fund, like to buy ambulances with, and to buy equipment with, so not pay operating expenses. Ready by 6 is it's a nonprofit organization. It's operated under the HCXL umbrella, I believe, and Stan, is that correct? And
That's correct. It's a program of.
They've asked for $10,000, and I've put $5,000 in the budget. So, and then Friends of Hospice that operate the Serenity House, they've asked for $10,000. I put $5,000 in the budget for them as well. There's a partnership, collaboration between the school system and Ola Lakeway to establish an international student welcome center. And the school system is really struggling with the immigrant population that is coming to town. And the first place they go is the school system. And where a lot of the parents are illiterate, none of the families, some families, most families, none of them speak English. And they just have a real hard time in integrating into the school system. And so what this concept is, which I'm endorsing, and that's why I've got it in the budget, and I've got it in the budget, is a one-stop shop place for these families to work with a retired administrator, school administrator at Ola, and they basically be taught what's expected of them in the school system. When their kids go to school, they introduce them to the health department where the children can get their vaccinations and things like that. And this would be a centralized place where our immigrant population, the new ones in town, can go and not be bouncing all over the place, which takes resources and time and energy away from the school system. And this is something we can do to help in that process. And right now, and I think Director Bunch will show you on Saturday, the Hispanic population in the school system is around 34%, and it's grown gradually. He's got the statistics over the last year and a half. So that's something that I'm endorsing, and I've put in the budget.
Bill?
Yes.
This has got something to do with HODA?
With Ola Lakeway, yes.
Has HODA asked for an increase in their budget?
No.
They've not asked for
No.
one? Okay.
Is there any state funds or federal that you could tap in?
You know, we've made what was it, January, where we had the big influx of Hispanic students come in, and I made our federal officials aware of it. And I don't know, I can't answer your question, Rodney, I don't know. But I've made them aware of it, and they've reached out to me 2 or 3 times to follow up on that. So we'll look at that. All right, next is sanitation, and just kind of a history of the fund balance of sanitation. Last year, we used right at $1 million of fund balance, and the year we're in now is what we're anticipating. And a large part of that is because we moved sales tax out of sanitation and moved it to the highway fund, and to balance the highway fund. And because there was equipment that was requested to be purchased, and that helped pay that. We're moving that back for sanitation. Right now, our budget calls for using about $103,000 of fund balance, and that's, in my opinion, based on our history, that's a balanced budget, because our sales tax will eat that up, and we won't spend every penny. Now, there's no equipment to be purchased in the budget that I've put in your book. Now, Barry has asked for a brush truck, and I told him today that it wasn't in there, and so he has asked for that. So when he comes on Saturday, you might ask him about that. We've increased the equipment repair line by $70,000, the disposal fee line by $95,000. Our liability and workman's comp insurance has gone up 18%, and we have a 5% COLA for the workers of the sanitation department in this budget. So it's about $103,000 in the red. It would take if we spent every penny, and our sales tax and property tax did not increase, we would be right at 48% of our appropriation. Our goal is 25%.
Mayor?
Yes.
So in the sanitation, so there was no increase in salary for that? They didn't?
No, it's 5% is what's proposed.
Okay, yes, I see it, great, okay, thank you.
All right, highway. This is the one that keeps me up at night, to be honest with you. Is the highway fund is its balance is very low, and so we've made we've shifted some money around in there. We've eliminated any equipment purchases that were requested. As you'll see in this slide, is there was a mowing tractor and a dump truck requested. We did not include those in the budget. There was we would reduce the sales tax, but kept sales tax in 131 at $200,000. But we moved some interest income, which is a new funding source for 131. We moved that into the fund. There is $400,000 in state aid road money to pave with. Now that's state money, or like $380,000 of it is state money, and the $20,000 is local. And now we moved. This is something we did to balance the budget. Is we moved the hot mix, which is used for patching, and the crushed stone, which is used for road preparation and patching, to Fund 176. And so we moved those expenses, which is $365,000, to 176. And I'll show you in just a second how that will work out. And then there's a 5% COLA for employees in the highway department. Now, this builds, we anticipate finishing this year with a $160,000 fund balance, and that we would be able to grow it to 275 at this time next year. And that's about 8% of our appropriation. So this is kind of what we've done to try to manage the highway fund. Now, in concert, what we've done with 176, now this is where the wheel tax money, this is the fund, the wheel tax, this is the bucket the wheel tax money has gone to. All right, we've got investment income of $365,000 in 176. That's to pay for the hot mix and the crushed stone. So that's budgeted. That is budgeted. Now, the 1.4 million of wheel tax money is not budgeted. It'll be in the fund. It's not budgeted. It'll be up to the highway department to come to you on a project basis to fund the projects. So that you have more input in how that money is used. And now, if you want to, now that's the approach that we took. If you want to go ahead and budget that money, that's your choice. Yes, sir.
We did say before this money was spent, it come to the commission, right?
That's why we didn't budget it.
So we have a communication between us and Mr. Poole, what roads get done.
Yes. Yes.
So if Barry needs money to pave a road, he's gotta come to us.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Good.
Mayor, would that include the state aid money for, that's in the other fund anyway, so it wouldn't include that.
No.
So he can actually pave a state aid road without coming to us
Right.
with that money.
Right.
But
Correct.
okay.
Correct. So there is.
How much has he got available?
He's got 1.4 million,
1.4 million.
right, of wheel tax money available.
But with state aid, how much has he got?
Got 400,000.
So he got
He's got a mile. Yeah, he's got a mile.
He's got a mile.
Yeah. So I guess just to, Barry and I talked about this afternoon, and there's maintenance of the roads, which is your patching, okay, your patching, and so there's crushed stone. And the reason I use these terms is these are the lines, these are the expenditure lines in your chart of accounts, okay, that the comptroller's office. All right, so you have your crushed stone, you have your hot mix. And so they're both used for patching. So we would work with the highway department in making sure that the POs that are issued for maintenance, which is the patching, come from these lines, and that the crushed stone that's used for prepping roads that'll be paved would be applied to the wheel tax money, just to make sure that we're doing what we promised the citizens that we were doing with the wheel tax, and that's paving.
Right.
So that's what we're going to do. Yeah.
Previous commissions have not been upfront with that. I want this commission, I want to go on record saying, we said that would be for paving, and that's what it should be for.
Just to clarify one point, if it is for filling chug holes,
Yes.
they use the hot mix and crushed stone.
Yes.
Will that have to come to us for approval out of this fund?
No, it's budgeted.
That's
It's
why-
in the budget. If you approve this budget, the way it's presented, it's in the budget.
Okay, that was what I wanted to make sure clarification on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that? That's the fund that we had to tinker with.
That's the best we've had it.
Pardon?
That's the best we've ever had the roads.
As far as money goes?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Now, we had, several years ago, we borrowed about $2.5 million, but it wasn't cash.
With this aspect, we'll know what roads he's gonna pave, won't we?
Yes, sir.
And right now, we ain't got a clue. We hadn't had a clue what roads he's gonna pave before they paved.
So, in that, well, let me ask you, any other questions on the highway? And we can talk more about this on Saturday. And debt service, kind of shows you what the debt service fund balance has been doing is it grew when in preparation to start making the payments on the bonds for the Justice Center. And the last couple of years, it's leveled off, and we've got a good, healthy fund balance. This is the graph that I, talked about in the debt report. Just shows what our debt service looks like, and it is an example that others will try to follow. And then here's our debt service. We'll use about $300,000 of fund balance in the debt service. We'll make the final payment on the E4A loan, which this was done in the 2000s when we built the new East Ridge and Westview middle schools and renovated several elementary schools. And so that'll be paid off in May of 2025. And then in May of 2026, you have your QSCAB loan that built the building over at East High. On the south side of East High, it built that, and I think it might have built the administrative area as well. So, and our interest income is up $1 million in the debt service, and some of that was moved back from 176. So, and we will have debt capacity, able to handle more debt in 2027, or start making principal payments. And here's the school's maintenance of effort, based on our discussion with Director Bunch. Is our maintenance of effort will be the same with the school or the state funding formula. The state funding formula is, our minimum requirement is $22 million, and our maintenance of effort is 27. We can't lower it. We are meeting what the state wants. Here's just a graph to show you a little bit of that. So $5 million over the minimum. And here's just another graph just to show you about local option sales tax collections for schools, and just kind of how it's grown over the years, like from fiscal year 21-22 to 22-23, it was 8.6% growth. The next was 5.5%, and we are projecting a 3% growth in sales tax for this coming year. Let's see. Here's the tax rate by moving the 6 cents. It would be go 85 cents for the general fund, 48 for general purpose schools, debt service and sanitation would stay the same. So that's what's included in this budget. And here's just some of the funding items was staffing the new Justice Center, the fixed cost at the Justice Center that we've estimated, our pay increases, and then balancing the highway budget. Those were the major issues that we faced. Okay, Mr. Chairman, if you want the sheriff and I to take up the sheriff's budget.
I think we need to move right into it.
Okay. Let's see, if you'll turn to tab 30 in your book.
I didn't know.
That's courtroom security is the first budget. There's no additional staff in courtroom security, full-time staff. There's some additional funding in part-time personnel, taking it from 170 to 200. And then some adjustments in medical insurance where people have changed coverage. And we've been, the premiums are the same, just some coverages have changed. So we're looking at a budget proposal for a reduction of $21,000 in courtroom security. Any questions for the sheriff? Okay, the next tab is the Sheriff's Department. You'll see Now, as you read, and that's tab 31, what I'm going to refer to most of the time is the far right columns, which show the difference from budget this year to budget next year, and then the notes that go along with it. That's what I'm going to be referring to. For example, on deputies line, shows a reduction of $119,000. Or that's the two SROs have been moved. These are the high school's SROs have been moved down the budget to the SRO line. That's why there's a reduction there. So it's just moved from one line to another. So that's what that explanation is. Then you have, let's see, you have the large increase for SROs where there was no budget for them a year ago as we were talking. And so that's all the salaries for the 20 SROs. And Sheriff, you want to talk about recruiting SROs and where you are with those?
We should, next year we should have every school code except for the one that has the same school identifying number, such as Russellville. We've got one SRO there. Manley, the two campuses, we only have one SRO, and Alpha. They've all got the same school identifying number. And we'll have to get with Mr. Bunch, talk with him with the new build out on Lincoln. But I would imagine that should have a different school identifying number.
And those school identifying numbers are what the SRO state grants are based on. Those school identification numbers. So we have 18 numbers, I think, in 20 buildings. Let's see, you have longevity pay, overtime pay is increased 55,000.
There's not a day goes by that we don't have some sort of overtime. I've got overtime working right now at the door downstairs. We have overtime, just something that happened. We had a officer sitting for 11 days, 24 hours a day around the clock in Knoxville Hospital with a felon that had swallowed some fentanyl. He was here at the hospital. They was giving him some medication, trying to get him to pass it, couldn't. They sprayed it was going to break down his stomach. They sent him to Knoxville, ended up with surgery. So I have to sit somebody with him 24 hours a day. Courts, transports, mental health transports. So we're constantly doing budget amendments for overtime. This is something, the officers that come to court today was a grand jury. Unless you was working, you was up around overtime. That's just not us, that's the police department, highway patrol, everybody.
And you have 332,000 increase in medical insurance. Now that's budget to budget, and that's the SROs, the new SRO employees, based on whether they take individual spouse. We have 67,000 more in maintenance agreements. That's like for the tasers and for the body cams and the car cameras and those kinds of systems. We add, and this includes adding the vehicles and the SROs, the licenses for those. Yeah. So that's based on the SROs. In your revenue, if you look through the revenue part of your budget, you'll see where we have another year of the 800,000 from the schools to take care of the capital cost and the 150,000 from the city.
To reach SRO what the call now.
Yes. Then uniforms is increased because of that as well on the second page. So for increased budget to budget, it's $1.4 million, but all of that's related to the SROs, or not all of it, but the vast majority of it is related to the SROs, and we have some of this is one-time expense, but a lot of it is recurring.
And it's offset partially by the 800 from the school plus grants. Is that correct?
$950,000 of local money, and then the $75,000 grant.
Mm-hmm.
Will that go away next year?
The city and school system money will go away. Any other questions on the sheriff's department?
The 839,347 for the resource officers, that is covered by the state. That's for their salaries.
The 839?
Yes.
Yeah, the state money covers that.
Yeah.
We have 18.
So a lot of that'll be gone then, so most of that's covered by the state.
We keep giving the state grant.
Yes, I'm
For how
not saying that,
long?
I'm talking about the 1.4.
3 years.
What's the state grant?
The state grant. It's forever. Okay.
I'm just saying of that 839, taking it away from the 1.4 million, it'll negate a lot of the 1.4. It gets us down to about 500,000. So, and if we can protect our kids for $500,000, I think we're flying.
Agreed.
Year one has been the problem. Moving forward is definitely going to offset itself.
Sheriff, on the gasoline area, are you all using fuel now?
Yes.
On the second page, on the bottom line, law enforcement equipment, there's an increase of 115. And a lot of that is again, SRO equipment.
Will this have the new jail staff like the sheriff needs?
Jail's next. You beat me to it. You beat me to it, Ronnie. I take that back. The sexual offender registry is next. And there's a $250 increase in that.
That's just the number.
The jail is under tab 33. Now in this budget, there's 103 positions that are funded. That includes administration, COs, it includes the COs that are assigned to the kitchen, which are 3. Includes all those individuals. And so you have 2 captain's positions in the budget and 2 lieutenant positions. You have 6 sergeants, 90 CO positions, and that's the increase of $1,004,000, and you have 3 positions in the kitchen personnel, cafeteria personnel. And again, all these increases as far as overtime overtime actually it's increased some, but we'll have some, especially during the transition. And lots of times what happens, and Sheriff, you correct me if I'm wrong, is when they're short-staffed, when they don't have all the positions filled, they have to work others overtime. And so generally, and you guys have seen this trend, is in the budget process, is we'll do a budget amendment, move money from the guards line to the overtime line because of it. Because rarely are you guys staffed 100%. You want to talk to them about your staffing?
For the first 6 months, we were able to hire, we get all 21 hired, all 21 positions hired and for the new jail. So right now, they're training in this jail, and when Mr. Pettit was talking about he turns the facility over to us, that's when we'll have to be running 2 jails, basically, training over here with the new facility, the camera system, the door set, everything like that.
So you're continuing to hire for the 20 positions that we funded in this year's budget for 3 months.
Sheriff, how many do we have right now total?
On the first run of new hires, we got 21, and I got, those are hired.
Counting what you already have on staff, what's our total right now?
Pretty sure we had 52 plus the 21.
Okay, that's, thank you. That's what I was hoping that.
Little probably will be around first.
I'm sure it's Fresno County, though. Fresno County, though.
It's staying right around 375, but, Judge Pearson, Judge And through the recovery court, we have 50-something felonies in recovery court right now, plus we've got 3 or 4 in mental health court.
That's awesome.
If we didn't have those, we'd be around 450.
Right, that's awesome.
Basically, all the expenses, all the additional expenses are personnel related. There's uniforms. We do have some more money in custodial supplies. Insurance, for new employees, retirement for new employees. So there's an increase of 2.1 million.
I'd like to commend the sheriff and the staff. You all do a great job of getting grants and stuff, so that's, hats off to you for that.
And that's the $300,000 on that grant on the jail. That saved it from coming from the bond. FF&E too, so. Got several hundred mattresses and jumpsuits.
Commissioner Doty, thank you again.
All right, any questions, any other questions on the material? All right, tab 34 is the workhouse. The workhouse, those are the guards that handle the litter crew, and they're paid out of the litter crew. Never mind, I was wrong. So this is 2 COs. That run the litter pickup. We have two litter pickups. We have one that's run out of the Sessions Court, there's Collins's Court, and one out of Don Baird's office, and then out of the workhouse program this year. Let's see, Fund 122, which is narcotics. Could look at that real quick. Tab 55. It's down $2,000.
then Civil Service Board, there's no change in Civil Service Board. There's one more thing, Mr. Chairman, before we finish, and this is a request of the Sheriff's Department. That's not in the budget right now, but you might want to consider.
All right, we're just gonna touch base on something new that's gonna be in conjunction with Morristown City Government, Morristown Police Department. I don't know if anybody here is familiar with the flock camera system, but basically what it is it's an automatic license plate reader. States and cities and counties around the whole nation are already using it, and a lot of people around us are already using it. Morristown City is getting 6 of them to place throughout the city limits. We're asking to try and place 6 also throughout the county. I'll give you a quick rundown on kind of how it works. So anything that we enter in NCIC, a wanted person, sex offenders, stolen property, anything of these nature, if someone passes this camera, they get a read on that plate. If there's any name associated with that plate that comes back to any of those things that's been entered in NCIC, it automatically sends a hit directly to the MDT of the patrolman that's working that zone. So it's been huge in other areas. Just reduced crime, reduced stolen vehicles, apprehension of wanted suspects, apprehension of sex offenders that have absconded. It's just a really good tool that moving forward would be really big for this city and county. And one great thing about it is some of the local businesses also use that flock system. So if we integrate with it, basically that gives us a log on to be able to access any other flock camera with anybody in Tennessee. So if it's Jefferson City's got them, Granger, several entities around us already have these or are in the process of getting them. Once that all goes in place, then we can feed into the same thing that they've got. Look at, let's say somebody's going down 25E to Granger County. If our camera catches them here on 25 and Bean Station's camera catches them coming through, we can track exactly where they're going. Quicker response times, just coming in and catching the person a lot quicker than we would without having that tool. Right now, Morristown Lowe's has got flock. Yeah, Morristown Lowe's has got it, and their flock, the salespeople are heavily in this area. I foresee a lot of businesses probably going over to them. Home Depot's getting ready to get them, and once these businesses start coming into place, we'll be able to tap into all their stuff too. So retail theft, a lot of stuff getting pushed out of these places. When those cameras are up in those parking lots, we can see those plates as well, which might coincide with a case that we're already working. So just a big, great tool that will be advantageous for anybody in law enforcement. Missing children, and I've got examples of plenty of things that they've done, but I'll just be honest with you, a really great tool to be able to apprehend these people a little quicker. Amber alerts, silver alerts, all that goes to them. It would flag to them. So that's the escaped federal prisoner from Greene County. That's exactly how he got caught in Florida. The murder suspect in Granger County, when the officer arrived on scene, they knew he took the victim's vehicle. They got the tag number, entered it in. Everybody's surrounded around Granger County. They get a hit on it during the highway. They knew it wasn't in Granger. So everybody just starts converting in. So we'll have access to their flock cameras. They'll have access to our cameras. So if their people come to Hamblen County, they will know.
Game changer. In our years of experience in law enforcement, this one is a game changer.
And we can change it if we know we've got a burglary suspect vehicle, we don't have a tag number. We got a white truck with a blue tailgate. We can put that in flock, and anytime a white truck with a blue tailgate drives by, it notifies the officers in the car. It's not intrusive. It is not writing tickets. It's not catching speed. It's not generating any citations. It's just an LPO.
The information deletes in 30 days. If we don't use it, then it automatically deletes in 30 days. It's just for the apprehension of stuff that's been entered in NCIC, Amber Alerts, Silver Alerts, sex offenders, anything of that nature.
Okay, so you've sold me on the use of it and everything. I don't need to hear any more. Let's get to the bottom line here since we're on budget. How much is this gonna cost?
Each camera annually is $3,000 per camera. So strategically mapping those out throughout the county, which we've come up with a plan to put those in locations that we think would be beneficial to the apprehension of these suspects, in conjunction with the 6 that the city's already going to place. It would not make sense if we set one close to where theirs was. So we've placed them throughout the county to where they would be most advantageous to us.
So again, bottom line, $18,000.
$18,000, but that's reoccurring.
Chad, you know me. Let's cut to the chase.
That's total, $3,000 per camera. The only other expense that I see being incurred is installation. And if we can put it on existing infrastructure, it's like $150 per camera. And if it has to be something that's not existing, then it's $650. But we've already looked at the locations and think that on most of those places, we already have something to put those on.
5 out of 6.
Yeah.
Have something to do that on.
You can't, and we asked that question, like if it's just not getting the data that we're wanting in this area, then is it costly for us to move that? They move it at their cost. Basically, that camera's theirs no matter what. If it tears up, they fix it. It's $3,000 a year per camera, any way you spend it. But they come out and maintain it. They maintain the camera, they maintain the data. The only other expense that I would see is what did they say about vandalism? If it got vandalized once, they'd fix it. But if we didn't take their recommendation to do something to fix it from being vandalized a second time, then it'd be on us. Yeah, so Elizabeth, and they went to them as well, and from 23 to now, when they started in 2023, just the big numbers, they've recovered $474,000 in stolen property, which is, I would imagine, is mostly cars. 26 arrests strictly made from those. Stolen vehicles recovered 12, stolen guns 2, and a number of flock incidents is 57 for a grand total of $474,000 in recovered property.
Could I assume that just the knowledge what you just gave with information, that the man hours it would save from you having to do all this is easily more than $18,000?
It's unbelievable, to be honest with you. Let's say one of our locations was Silver City and Fish Hatchery, and another location would be Highway 160 at the Dollar General. So if you had someone coming through there, it's a 13-second delay. So once it hits flock, in 13 seconds, it's going to be pushed out to ours. When it goes from there to there, if you've got an officer that's in that area close, they can already be at the other location where it's about to hit on the other camera, hypothetically. But to answer your question, yes, I think it would be a saved value.
Is there a software cost that's going to cost us to hook in our MDTs or anything like that?
Not that they've told us. One thing that may be a possibility in the future, like obviously this system is, they want to sell as much as they can. When we first started talking to them, they were at, they wanted
14 cameras, 16 cameras for the city and the county apiece. And we just said, look, that's not feasible. So we went back and forth with them, talked them down to 6 and 6, and obviously to get their foot in the door, they'd love to just go 6 and 6. So $3,000 a camera. There's no software cost to go through 911 because it's not going through 911 at this point. That is an option. They can be a user as well, but no added software cost.
So how does it get back to you?
Flock handles it all. So when something hits that's flagged as being a tag associated with something in NCIC, then it sends it out directly to the MDT from Flock. So a lot of stuff, photograph information on the registration, what the warning was of the wanted individual or stolen vehicle.
Pretty cool.
Question, how does this help, does this work during, say, bad weather, snowstorm,
Yeah. So
bad rain, is it?
we address some of that, like at nighttime.
Right,
You know,
nighttime.
what kind of
Is it
images
still-
you're catching. And they assured us that typically, most of the time, you're not gonna get a perfect image every time. And in
Right.
these high-traffic areas, that, I could see that, like, there's gonna be some blurred images. But at 55 miles per hour and under, they're supposed to be able to catch a pretty clear image. Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
not to say that you'd be able to get those, but the locations that we've stuck those at, I think will be our best chance to catch anything. Most of it's coming in, the way we've set it up, coming from the county to the city, and outside jurisdictions coming into us. But even, we kind of looked at what everybody else has got, Cotton County, Jefferson, Granger. Even where we didn't place cameras, they have cameras. So we'll be able to look at their stuff as well they can ours. 25 minutes a day, northbound, southbound both. There's a lot of time nowadays. We don't have a camera there, but the PD's planning on putting a camera there and Wi-Fi.
So, the thing here is, so it's gonna be in your office where you can look at it. On the cloud?
Yeah, basically, like anybody that's a user, it's got a username and login.
So any officer can log into it?
Yes, yes. And there's some parameters they have to follow through Flock, but having said that, it's no different than us running tags or whatever we have to do now. But as long as they've got a username and login, then they'll have access to it. Well, I'd imagine go back to the general fund eventually, but. And our plan is, if this works out, is, you know, stockpile these statistics over the next year or 2 years, see how good they're working, and go from there. Be aggressive. Contracts, 1, 2, 3, 5 years, they didn't specify or say that it was an issue, so they were okay with whatever we came up with. We said initially a 2 year.
Mayor, do you think we should vote on this as a budget amendment for this year's budget, or do we add this to our next year's budget?
We can just add it to next year's budget in our draft 2.
Okay, so that said, and I'm speaking just to clarify, what's been presented tonight, do you want to vote on anything that's been presented tonight? Okay, I didn't know, we have taken funds before and done that.
I don't foresee a price change. We asked that, but I don't foresee a price change.
We can wait till Saturday and go over that if you want, or, I didn't know if you wanted to go through it.
What we would do is, after Saturday, we take the results of Saturday and prepare draft 2 of the budget and present that on the board.
Okay,
And then you adopt the budget.
Okay.
Committee adopts the budget.
understood.
That's all we
Sir?
have.
You're up. Wake up.
Well, having said all of that, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. That concludes our business. Are all minds clear?
I've got one thing I want to.
Yeah, we're not done, but go ahead. Yes, sir.
Everyone, I assume, got a letter, email this week. No problem.
I didn't.
Refresh my memory about it.
Well, it said to all commissioners, so I assumed it went to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mine,
think after the budget, we need to step in place as commissioners and try to come up with something. And, if you didn't get that, I'll send it out to you.
Is that the one about the neighbor,
It was down on the
West End?
west end.
Yep, I got that.
I
know
did,
what you're talking about
I did
now.
get that. I know what
Yep.
you're talking about.
I got
now,
it,
yeah.
I thought it was about a week ago, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little over a week ago.
I just like to see us as a commission, I mean, you know, we've got people hurting.
Could you send that?
Send it to me too, please.
I didn't.
Here it is.
You didn't get it? I'd rather get these.
No, I didn't get that.
all right, thank you. Reminder, this Saturday, have your budget books in hand. We will begin promptly at 9 a.m. Is that correct? Everybody understood? And lunch will be provided? Lunch will be provided, so bring your water or whatever. Are we good? We're adjourned.